talk to you about today is I wanted to go through some of my favorite design styles. What makes them favorite to me is that they're favorites of clients. They're really wide-reaching, very approachable styles. Clients love them, and when clients love them, they come back for more and they pay their invoices, and that makes them favorite styles for me. So I'm going to break down each style, show you some projects where each style was applied, and then I'm going to show you some rugs in the CandiceOlson collection that back up that style. A lot of people always ask me about inspiration for the carpet designs, and it comes from fashion, from classic architecture, from traditional patterns. But a lot of the inspiration also comes from the business side of design and what really works with each one of my clients. Okay, so first style I call classic elegance, which this room is not. This is obviously the before, but you've probably seen or started a lot of projects with rooms like this. This is obviously a bedroom. This was a massive bedroom. A bedroom, frankly, that is bigger than a lot of the downtown condos that we deal with. Just huge, huge master bedroom, expansive bedroom. And one of the challenges here is how do you bring kind of warmth and intimacy into such a vast space? You know, this was the bed and then the door and like, hello, honey, I'm over here. You know, one of those kind of bedrooms. It had some interesting details, this vaulted ceiling, a very ornate marble Louis fireplace and some library shelving, but that was really, that's it. Oh, and this crazy green carpet. I mean, the 80s, wasn't it all about this? It's like the Arnold Palmer AstroTurf carpet. So, the solution here, classic elegance. So the roots of classic elegance are in traditional elements, architectural elements, and the furnishings. Particularly here with the architectural elements, we have this beautiful vaulted ceiling. So we really added some architectural interest to that ceiling, applied moldings. Simple batten moldings. We played up the fireplace with some cabinetry, traditionally detailed, not over the top. So there is still an approachability to this look. Furnishings, a little bit more formal or a little bit on the feminine side. The palette here, very soft neutrals, pale hues, patterns. Classic or traditionally inspired patterns, florals and damask and some paisleys mixed in here, but really the roots in traditional design. Dining room. This is an old turn-of-the-century farmhouse project, and the clients wanted to turn this dining room into more of a special occasion dining room, which is kind of unusual because I'm finding more and more clients don't want the formal dining room. They want it to be a more casual space, but this was quite a bit different. They wanted something that was, oh, you're the best, latte incoming. So they wanted something that was more formal. They wanted a special occasion dining room, and that's just what we did for them here with more of this classic elegance. I always say that these classic elegance, it's rooted in traditional architectural elements and furnishings, but there's always these little accents, these special accents, luxurious accents, crystal and maybe a little bit of marble or stone or something exotic here. We've got this wonderful custom wall finish, this super-sized damask pattern that was done with matte and glossy, this glossy contrast. And this one actually has quite a deep, rich wall color that sets off these beautiful grand chandeliers. Now this was a long, and you get this all the time, these long skinny living rooms where it's kind of got to be the TV and media room, and the place where you also can seat and entertain a lot of people. And you can see they're having quite the issue here. Do we watch TV or do we sit by, the ugly old brick fireplace and contemplate our navel back there? So again, classic elegance. First of all, injecting some traditional architectural interest with this ceiling detail. Isn't that fun? Applied moldings. I mean, I'll go back, because you've just got this big, expansive ceiling, like it's Northwest, right? So beautiful traditional detailings here. We beefed up what was there with the fireplace, traditional moldings, classic cabinetry, again, adding a lot of that detail, very sort of glamorous chandelier, luxurious fabrics and finishes, that soft palette again. And you can see this look, this classic elegance. There's a feeling of formality to it, but there's this wonderful feeling of quality and stability and timelessness, and that's what clients absolutely love about this look. So, some rugs that you'll see in the CandiceOlson collection that speak to that particular style. Classically or traditional patterns that might be reinterpreted in a new, fresh way. Paisley, we've got henna paisley, CAN 1952. A paisley supersized and broken down into these little henna dots, so it's interpreted in a new way. Cosmo, which is a series of oval links, and I like this carpet when I already have a lot of pattern in the room. Like in that first bedroom you saw, the drapery was really the main fabric statement, a lot of florals. So I use more of a modern geometric to just contrast all the other patterns that are there and to ground it. And classic, which is a classic, a traditional carpet. Here this one is quite muted in its tones, and it almost has an antique look to it, so it has a feeling of a vintage carpet that's been there forever. So that's classic elegance. Everybody loves that style. So next style, getting a little bit more contemporary, and I call this new traditional. And it really comes about by the way that we live today. Our modern lifestyle means that we use rooms in very different ways. We expect more out of our rooms, especially in older homes like this one. This was an old Victorian home where this was the main receiving parlor. Well, where people back in the day, they'd visit and you'd sit until the homeowner would come and receive you. It's kind of like call waiting for the home, and so we don't really do that anymore. This is the main living room of the house. So the homeowners, first and foremost, they wanted to honor and respect the heritage of the home, while at the same time putting in all the modern conveniences, and this was a big challenge in these homes where TV was not part of the program back then. TV, media, all the wires that go into making a wireless world that we have. So work in all the modern conveniences, respect the history of the home, but to do it in a style that was a little bit more contemporary and current. And that's where new traditional comes into play. And new traditional, which I love. I mean, it's that perfect marriage of tradition and modern. Modern meets traditional. So we have, and I think with some little extra personal touches mixed in as well. So if you take a look here, we've got a Victorian cast iron insert fireplace here. We've got a mid-century modern floor lamp in the background. We've got antiques, much more modern pared down furniture than classic elegance. Still an emphasis on comfort, definitely in this space, but a real mix of old and new. Oh, this bedroom. I mean, obvious problems, right? Horrible layout. I tried to tell the clients, the nursing pillows there on the left, that doesn't classify as a toss cushion, no. So, obviously, some issues here, some practical issues, but we're talking a new traditional style here. A very clean, contemporary ethanol fireplace that we worked in under that drop ceiling area. TV, all those modern conveniences, repositioned the bed. Furniture that is inspired by traditional silhouettes, but a little bit more pared down. Still an emphasis on comfort, mixing in some, some older antiques, some personal touches like this feathered African headdress above the headboard. Just a beautiful look. And I think what clients love about this is it's a look that's fresh, but it's still familiar. And it's current, but at the same time timeless. And it really allows people to grow and evolve with their rooms to grow and evolve as their lives grow and evolve and change as well. It's a really versatile look. So rugs in the CandiceOlson collection that speak to the new traditional look. So carpets, patterns are classic patterns. So damask, florals, paisleys, but they're reinterpreted in a very modern and contemporary way. Could be scale. I like to pare down the lines in the pattern, render it in a tonal pattern so it's very approachable. You'll see that with the grand damask on the far left, this supersized, blown up damask. Grill work, wonderful pattern here. I love using these strong geometrics to ground more organic patterns like florals that I use elsewhere in the room. And then shadow flowers, which is this beautiful all-over pattern that just looks like a bed of flowers, again, grounding the furniture grouping. So that's new traditional. Moving on to more contemporary styles, and this one I call urban contemporary. This is a before, if you haven't figured that one out yet. It was an old mid-century modern house that had been given a reno in the 80s. I don't know what happened in the 80s, but talk about scale with that fireplace, huh? And clients were after a look that was contemporary, but they didn't want to feel cold and sterile. And you get this a lot from people, I'd like it to be modern, but I want it to be livable. And I get it, and that's exactly what we did. So take a look at the fireplace. I love just kind of taking the roots of the fireplace and, what a great makeover there, just with the fireplace itself. But obviously, very contemporary, right? I'm calling it urban contemporary. We've got very clean, modern, pared down furnishings. Architecturally, very clean, not a lot of extra embellishment here. But this is contemporary, but the room doesn't look cold. There's a comfort to it. And the important thing with this look, urban contemporary, is natural materials. It's natural materials and motifs and natural textures that really soften the more cool or severe lines of contemporary design. So we have, on the left, we have a wood wall, a wood flooring wall here. It brings beautiful warmth and a great backdrop to the sectional. We've got stacked stone here, this wonderful textured stacked stone wall. To the right, we have woven rattan here for the chairs, and then grounding everything, this fantastic stylized, abstracted floral carpet. So a very contemporary room, but it feels warm and comfortable. Oh, I love this project. This was an old ice house. So back in the day when there wasn't refrigeration, ice was stored at the ice house, which was this location. It had been converted to a residence, so it had kind of a cool beginning, excuse the pun, but not a really cool space at all. Just really just missed opportunity. It had great light and lots of potential. Clients were after contemporary, but contemporary that was comfortable. Again, clean lines in the furnishings, a lot of warmth brought in with materials, natural materials, lots of wood, we've got leather, wool. The carpet here a little quieter. It was more of a textured carpet because I wanted to really put the focus on this spectacular fireplace, this long horizontal modern fireplace clad with slate, natural material. So rugs that support that look of urban contemporary, inspired by nature. Natural motifs, but again, stylized. One of my favorites, slice of earth, which is literally like taking a slice through the rocks, the rock formations of the Canadian Shields. You can see that sort of interpreted in a very abstract way. Speaking of abstract, modern nature, which is a macro dandelion in seed motif. So fantastic graphic piece here. And then cheetah blocks. Little grids with our cheetah print, animal prints, timeless, and done here in a very sort of structured, refined way. Urban contemporary. Now, if urban contemporary is all about contemporary being softened and warmed up and made to be more comfortable with natural materials, this next look for contemporary is about those materials being a little bit more rustic and raw and industrial. So, think of like a converted warehouse or a lifestyle like you're living you've got a sexy cosmopolitan lifestyle and you're in your urban loft overlooking the city. Just like this. Huh? No. So we wanted to get to that kind of feeling, and this is what we started with. This was a granny suite that was to be converted into a little bit of a bachelor pad for a young man who was going to be living in the basement for some years while he finished up grad school, with the idea that everything that we did in this space he would take to his first apartment when and if he ever moved out, and you know how that goes these days. So I said, keep the doily around and threaten to put it back if he doesn't ever move out down the road. But urban loft is how I defined this look. If Granny could only see this place now, huh? We have these wonderful textured, weathered leather tiles on the floor that are removable, which I absolutely loved. Kind of an industrial, this custom exposed light bulb light fixture that we created over the bed. Lots of weathered wood, which is fantastic because that adds some warmth to, again, very streamlined furnishings here, especially these metal chairs. So lots of raw rustic wood, and then this fantastic wallpaper that looks like cold rolled steel. So lots of elements here, and then this wonderful rug, this kind of supersized, again, nature-inspired motif with this wood grain. Now, I think this look is so popular with clients with young families, big families, husbands, houses and homes where there's a lot of wear and tear on the homes, because a lot of these finishes are imperfect to begin with. So when you have those sorts of home or people living in the home, young kids, imperfect is a good place to start because it only gets more and more imperfect. Which is just the case with this family. This was more, they were projecting more of a, I'm going to say urban daycare vibe than urban loft. And just a red hot mess of a room, right? All the way across. The red, yellow, green brain-forming toys, which eventually find their way out. But corner fireplace, I'm sorry, there is no place in heaven for corner fireplaces. So we made quite a few changes here. Architecturally, just retooled the fireplace, centered it in the room, ran the venting behind the new shelving and storage components. But you can see here, sure, this is very contemporary, but the urban loft idea, this imperfect approach, comes into play with the lounge chairs on the left. We've got hair on hide lounge chairs. We've got coffee sack ottomans here in the lower left-hand corner, and then this rustic barn board sliding door that was helped keep the sound of the TV from sort of migrating all over the house. And it's those elements that bring the warmth and the comfort to a pretty contemporary room. And again, this is a look that, that our young families absolutely adore, because it's a room that can take, that is a little bit weathered, and there's some patinas and some nicks and dents, and it can take even a little bit more of that. So urban loft, some carpets in the CandiceOlson collection that support that look. Again, love our skins, stylized skins. So we had cheetah blocks, same sort of formation here with our zebra print, modern skin. Cosmo, probably our most versatile carpet that can go both contemporary and modern, with this wonderful stylized and super scaled link pattern. And then Exotica, which is a motif inspired by hair-on hide. It's just this macro version of it, this wonderful all-over pattern, Exotica. Now, if that last look, urban loft, is so loved by our young families because it's so livable, this next look, well, not this one, but the after, the next look is probably the least livable, the least favorite of young families, because it's minimal style. Kids do not understand minimal. There's no minimal in children's worlds. But there are clients that love this look, and I have to say, over the years, there's a certain type of client, and I think a lot has to do with what the rest of their everyday life is all about. For example, this client was an ER doctor in probably the worst hospital in the worst area of town. And he would do double shifts, and I can't even imagine the stuff that he saw, but he said, it's hours and hours of pure chaos. And he said, I want to come home. And this was a basement project of his, but he said, I want to come home and I just need calm and order, no blood, serenity, and that's where the minimal look is perfect for those sorts of people. It's funny, I get the same with high pressure jobs like brokers and bachelors. It just tends to be more of a young couple with no kids or young professional style that suits them a little bit more. So minimal. Very angular, very geometric, very, very pared down, structured, ordered. There is no clutter, because the clutter it's very, we've worked in a ton of built-ins here. So all of the stuff that you get in life tends to be curated and edited. So what really isn't important and absolutely necessary isn't seen. Just the lines are really what renders true in minimal design. Patterns, again, very structured and tailored, ordered, and used sparingly, but with maximum impact here, I think. Some patterns, some rugs in the CandiceOlson collection that support the minimal look. Velocity is the carpet that we actually used in that room, inspired by architectural grill work, very structured, orderly, beautiful carpet. Texture, shags, also really, really wonderful in minimal spaces, bringing that physical and visual warmth as well. And then one of my favorites here, a very refined, orderly interpretation of bubbles. This tonal carpet here with froth. Now, last but not least, one of my most favorite styles, and that's an eclectic style. And that to me is it is a blend. It's a mix of contrasts. Old and new, so antique furniture with modern furniture, sometimes offbeat furnitures, contrast, light against dark, matte against shiny, solid against heavily patterned, So lots of contrast here. But I think the carpets become very, very important in holding together all these seemingly very different elements. Very, very important in eclectic rooms. Now, this room, it is not eclectic right now, but the client was so eclectic. A couple in their mid-60s had been in the pharmaceutical industry forever and had moved out and bought this mid-century modern house. It was horrible. But they had, their hobby was rapping. And they're like a, Caucasian couple, they're mid-60s. You don't kind of say like, hey, rapper couple. But they had come into quite a bit of money because they had made some dough off of rap songs that people had been, I kid you not. So Jay-Z, so they wanted, and he had braces at 65, I'll never forget it, like a full grill, it was crazy. So, very eclectic couple, and they were after, they wanted a style that reflected a certain amount of sophistication, befitting a couple in their mid-60s. But that had a little bit of like a cool factor because they were rappers. So this is what we started with. I mean, horrible, like on, all the way around. Okay, so took the fireplace. How sexy is that fireplace, right? We've got this stainless steel penny tile cladding, big slab of granite above it. Two-way TV worked in behind the mirror. Crystal, we've got leather with, polished steel studs. This wonderful carpet, this stylized damask in graphic black and white, grounding it all. So that's my 65-year-old rapper room. Who would have thunk? Now, again, I think carpets, rugs in an eclectic room are so important because how do you link all these things together? I mean, they're really like the glue that holds rooms like this together. So on the far left, we have modern chevron. What a great pattern this is, bold, multi-hued. You can pull in some color cues into this carpet from the room, but a very strong pattern to pull it all together. Damask Duo, one of our top sellers, black and white, you can't go wrong. You saw it in our wrapper room, but again, a supersized interpretation of this wonderful pattern, this damask pattern. And then Maze, again, architectural grillwork inspired, strong, bold. You saw that in a couple of slides before, a very similar look. You can see how important that is to pull that entire room, all the different furniture, the colors, the patterns, to pulling it together. So 3 fantastic rugs there that help you get the eclectic look. And there, with that, I conclude and go back to, remember I gave you the tips. Gave you my dentist's name, right? Some clip-in hair, Photoshop, and false eyelashes, and you can get that look too.